Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The second part of the motivational chapter uh, is discussing with you people. Uh, in the previous slide, or in the previous lecture, I discussed about the importance of the motivation, how we relate the motivational factors in the organization, and how it works in the organization. So before going the further application of the motivation, we first understand about the theories of motivation, which is very important. The theories of motivation is based on content theory and the process theory. Are what we say about the relationships are the based on the content theories and the process theory. It's basically actually the question of what motivate people to work, or what motivates uh, them for a particular kind of a task or for a particular activity, we can say that. Then the another key question is for anyone studying the companies and organization is the first we need to define what we mean by motivation. This is the important thing. Then the another thing is that motivation consists of at least one of the major aspect is that the direction, is that the persistence of the behavior or the action of a particular individual in the organization. Then here in you seeing on the screen is the content part and then the process part. When you're talking about the content part of the motivation theory, is the first and the pioneer of the study of the motivational studies is the Maslow's hierarchy, or you can say that Maslow's theories of need related with the hierarchy theory. Then the another thing is the theory X and theory Y, Douglas McGregor uh, theory, which is also very important theory. Then the two factor theory, Frederick Herzberg theory, and then the ERG theory. So we will later in the slides, later in the lecture, I will discuss in a detailed part of these uh, theory. Then the process theory in your right side of the slide is Vroom's expectancy theory, Porter Porter and Lawyer's theory, and equity theory, which is also another part of the, or we can say that the motivational theories are the other theories related with the which relate with the people, and then we relate with the acquired, uh, or we would like to seek or avoid the certain stimuli. So these are some of the things which basically discussed in the motivation. Then going further on, that the Maslow's order is basically related with the hierarchy, and then we are moving on to that the hierarchical sequence. Then we need to, one level is satisfied, the next highest need act the only motivator, and then the needs identified by Maslow, from physiological need at the bottom to self actualization. These are all the things which is related with the Maslow's hierarchy. Then uh, the other thing is that when we moving on further, uh, in the screen you see it, the Maslow's hierarchy. Maslow's hierarchy is a basically old concept, and I would like to share the pyramid. The pyramid is basically based on the physiological need, safety need, social need, esteem, and self-actualization. It's the lower order needs that are satisfied externally, which, for instance, physiological and safety needs, and higher order needs are satisfied internally, in which the social esteem and such self-actualization needs. So these are the lower order and the higher order needs cover up in the Maslow's hierarchy of need. Then the other thing is uh, the other thing is basically theory X and theory Y. Douglas theory basically assume that implies dislike work, lack ambitions, and then the avoid responsibility and must be directed and coerced to perform. Means that people would not like to work until and unless you cannot force them, or until and unless you not punish them. So they would not like to work for the organization or for a particular task, whatever you consider. Theory Y is basically related with the assumes that implies like work, seek responsibility, are capable of making decisions, and exercise self-direction and self-control when committed to a particular goal. So this is a theory Y. That's totally opposite, that the people are motivated to work in the organization. Then more is the thing is that research says that research has the or you can say that unable to explain any empirical justification or any empirical confirmation related with the theory of Maslow's hierarchy of need. In the previous slides, we discussed this Maslow's hierarchy. So very little or very few research based on that Maslow's hierarchy of need and how this empirical confirmations relate with the belongingness, relate with the self-esteem of the peoples and other aspects in the business context, or you can say that in the business applications as well as. But the other part is related with is the higher order needs. When you're talking about higher order needs, so higher order need could be activated even if the immediately lower order need had not been fully satisfied. So this is the some of the critique, or you can say that critique part of the Maslow's hierarchy as well. Then when we see that he proposed some of the aspects that the if a need could not be satisfied, the immediately lower need once again become the main source of motivation. So this is also a contradictory part. This is also a sum of the part, which is most of the people are saying that the person who are getting 100 rupees per day, so might be the possibility he has the state of the self-actualization, as well as he is not getting more than the 100 rupees if the person is satisfied from getting 100 rupees as well as. So this is the kind of the conversation, this is the kind of the arguments which build in the theory part uh, related with the Maslow's hierarchy of need as well as. Then I discussed the theory X and theory Y. Then we further move on to the two-factor theory, or Frederick Herzberg theory of motivation, which is basically relate with the intrinsic parts and the hygiene factors. Intrinsic factors are related with the job satisfaction, while extrinsic factors are associated with dissatisfaction. What does it mean? By intrinsic factors, we mean that your inner satisfaction. What's innerly satisfied you for a particular task, which means that your self gratification, which means that your self satisfaction, these are all the factors. While extrinsic factors is related with the dissatisfaction. Extrinsic factors is related in the lower part of the of this slide. Is you've seen that the hygiene factors are some of the extrinsic factors as well, as such as company policy, administration, supervision, salary, that when advocate in job and the workers are more placed to a particular activities and the factors are adequate, people will not be dissatisfied. When these are resources are good enough, people will never be dissatisfied. when these resources are not properly given to the individual's employees, so the people will be highly dissatisfied from the job. So this is the basically two factors theory. And the one, as one of the thought says, that people are never be satisfied from the extrinsic factors, but like the company policy, administration, supervision, and salary, and so many other things. But by providing good and providing the educate resources, so people are more motivated to work in the organization. Then another important theory is the ERG theory. E stands for existence, R stands for relatedness, and G stands for growth. This is also very important Adelpher theory. Core need is related with the existence, provision of basic material requirements. Relatedness is desire for relationships. Growth is desire for the personal development. And then we can say that your self concept, your self belief about the things. Then the concept is more than one need can be operative at the same time. If a higher level need cannot be fulfilled, the desire to satisfy a lower level need increases. This is one of the case. This might be the one of the aspects we can say that related with the ERG theory. Then another thing is the David McClelland's theory, which is also very important: need for achievement, need for affiliation. The desire to need for achievement is related with the desire to excel, to achieve in relations to a set of standards. Then we can say that relate with the major part is, for example, an employee may be keen to earn a bonus in order to satisfy a physiological need, so or to boost her self-esteem. So the thing is that the person is the need for the achievement as well as, so he has the desire to achieve something. Then affiliation is that the desire to for friendly and close personal relationships. Then the need for power, the need to make others behave in the way that they would not have behaved otherwise. So these are the aspects which is related with the mm, uh, this part of the McClelland's theory. Then the equity theory, the last part of the process theory, is the distributive justice and the procedural justice. Distributive justice means that perceived fairness of the amount and allocation of rewards among individuals, and procedural is basically about a fairness process to determine the distribution of rewards. One is linked with the perceived fairness of the amount and allocation of rewards. Other thing is procedural justice. By procedural justice, we mean that the process of the rewards, or you can say that the process, whatever the aspects related with the process comes, it is actually related with the procedural justice. Whatever is related with the allocation of the process is concerned is related with the distributive justice. So this is the another part. Then the expectancy theory is the Victor Vroom theory. Is basically individuals is maintain a certain level. What does it mean? Its mean is that individual is doing work for the organization based on certain expectation. Or they relate their activity with certain aspects, which means that the expectancy originally. What does the meaning of this theory is? Basically, people assume that our people act in accord with conscious and rational choices, basically, among expected outcomes. By a cognitive process, individuals assign probabilities to three factors. Probabilities basically are relate with the three factors, which is the expectancy, instrumentality, and valence. Are when we say that if you draw this equation for the valence, if you draw equation for a Victor Vroom. So in the left side, you can write motivation is equals to the expectancy multiply by instrumentality and multiply by valence in the right side of the equation. In the right side of the equation, you can write down expectancy into instrumentality into valence, or the product sign, you can say that, or a multiply sign. So the equation becomes is equals to motivation is equals to expectancy, instrumentality, and the valence. So I will explain it more further is that expectancy represents the individual's confidence that his or her efforts will produce a certain level of performance. Number one thing. For example, a sales representative may have higher or lower expectations of being able to reach the sales target, which his boss or her boss set for a particular activity. Instrumentalities represent the individual's confidence that her performance or his performance will produce particular outcomes. Then, for example, the same sales representative may have more or less confidence that if he or she meet the target, so he or she will receive a certain bonus. This confidence will depend on whether or not the company has made a promise about that bonus, as well as then the formality of the promise, a promise given the other aspects related with the bonus as well as, and then the develop a confidence level in the individual. Then the other thing is the later part is basically the last part is the valence. Valence is basically are the value individual assigns to those specific outcomes. How much a particular individual give importance to a bonus, you can say that. So a simple thing is that what you are expected from a particular task. Then I said that instrumentality, by instrumentality we means that how much you are confident, and then valence is that how much that task is important for you. This is, you can say that the uh, expectancy theory is all about it. Then you seeing it here on the screen is the first part is the individual effort, second part is the individual performance, third part is the individual rewards, and then the later part is the personal goals. So this is effort performance relationship, performance reward relationships, rewards personal goals relationships. This is how we can say that is the expectancy theory is all about. Then the other thing is that related with the job design, we discussed in the previous part of the same chapter. I already discussed with you people, and then later I will discuss you some other things is related with the link with, you can say that these are the performance dimensions: ability, motivation, and opportunity and performance. You can also say that you can also link it with the so many theories based on you can also go through with the literature. You can search out here. I can give you some small material for the reading, as well as I can share with you as well as in the group that study about AMO. What is basically AMO? Think about it and search about is, and then give your response as well as about AMO. Find out what is AMO. This is your minor task and a group task as well as, and then first you identify AMO and then find out what is KSA. These two aspects are basically related with the performance dimension. So this concludes the second part of the motivation lecture. Later in the next part, I will discuss you the applications of the motivation, and then after discussing the motivation application of the motivation, our this chapter will be completed, inshallah. So thank you very much.